Hi, beautiful people, sweet souls, beautiful people in brilliant bodies, hearts alive, hearts on fire with love. I am coming to you today to speak about the essentials, the elementals, the crucial keys required for our whole system to even begin to work in harmony. So, as you know, as a human being, we have not just the physical body, we have the heart, the mind, the soul. We have all of these different aspects of ourselves. And we're also dealing with an individualized or individuated personality, unique from everybody else. So there's a lot of layers to who we be. And when we speak about health, and I've been working in health and wellness my whole life, excuse me, and when I say whole life, I mean I was born into it because I was very blessed to have a mother who was already on the natural holistic lifestyle practices, uh, way more than other families I met at the time. And so I learned a lot from her, and then I continued studying and studying and practicing and finding eventually certain keys that are absolutely essential for a foundation and for the what I like to call the divine alignment or the divine design. When things all line up and come into like a full uh, embodiment, you could say, of soul, heart, mind, and body. And that's all aligned into this clear channel of emanation in the earthly form. I personally believe that's one of the reasons why we came here, is to bring the kingdom, the spiritual, I don't even like using that word, but the essence of who we really are in the non-physical, bringing it into actualization in the physical using this incredible technology, the physical body, the human body that we are blessed with for a short time. And it's such an incredible opportunity to seek that. And I really, really do believe that um, saying from one of the most famous books, those who seek shall find, right? And so if you're a seeker, you're a truth seeker, and you've been seeing through a lot of the bullshit in recent times, in these times of revelation, you're seeing that a lot of what has been told to us by the so-called experts, the so-called authorities, have actually been lies, have been put there to lead us astray or to lead us into a different agenda from the one we were born with. And so it's worth questioning everything. It's worth following the money. And it's also worth finding out what your own abilities of discernment can bring to you. So the body has an intelligence. That's why I love working with body-centered practices so much, because the body can only speak the truth. I think I have a cat hair somewhere on my face. Life with cats. Anyway, the body can only speak the truth. And this is such a powerful thing to recognize and work with, because we get to learn. Well, sometimes it takes that learning curve of how do I actually identify what is an instinct and what is truly coming from the body versus what my mind applies onto those messages, like a layer, like a perception layer on top. So that's a bit of a learning curve in and of itself. However, at its core, the body always speaks the truth or expresses the truth. And the mind, a little trickier, because the mind has been filled with lies. If we've lived in human society for any amount of time, we have received a lot of lies. And so there is a ability in the mind to think critically, to ask questions, to pursue a line of logic until its conclusion. We do have those tools within the mind, and they're very helpful. And it's not always the only place where we're going to find truth with a capital T, in my experience. Now, I want to hear what you guys have to think, and I'm here showing up just to serve you because I would like to go through a few little things that I have discovered as golden nuggets along the way. And let's start where it's most important, or I believe it's the most important, the soul, our connection to divine intelligence, our connection to benevolent consciousness, our connection to greater consciousness, the all knowing, the all loving, the creator, however you want to put it. If it's just universal consciousness, if that's how you see it. And when you think of the people who have walked this earth, who have given you great inspiration because of their ability to embody a soul essence of who they truly are. There are people who have walked this earth who have become self-realized, and we can only aspire to walking along those footsteps in our own styles, in our own ways, and seeking out to embody the qualities that these great teachers and great leaders have shown. And so, what are those things? That's my question to you. What is a great quality, value, embodied way of being that the most inspirational, the most moving, the most healing teachers and masters have had inside them? It's a question I would like you to ponder. What is it? I've thought about this a lot because I would like to move in that direction of the great ones, the great masters. I would like to learn from them and walk in their footsteps. And what I have found as a common thread is compassion. And compassion is a whole different category beyond what we often refer to as love, because love is like easy to come by. You can just meet people, places, things, and love them. Oh, I love that place. I love that person. I love this food. We use it like just, it's an abundant, easy to come by thing for those of us who have hearts. It's like, oh, I love this. I love that. I love how I feel when I'm with this person. I love how I feel when I receive this compliment. I love how I feel when I'm engaged in a certain activity. It makes me feel good. So I love this activity or sport or whatever it is. Compassion, on the other hand, is this expanded state of being. And I think probably most of us have had this experience once or many, many times, countless times, where the definition of compassion, first of all, because I really believe definitions matter, is the ability to feel the suffering of another and the desire to ease that suffering, to reduce or remove that suffering. So it really is about the other in this context of having an earth walk here. We're individuated because we have different bodies, we have different personalities. So we're experiencing individuation, and we're living in this life of duality, right? Where there's night and day, there's male and female, there's good and bad. Some people still don't want to acknowledge that that is part of the duality of this particular realm that we happen to be in so temporarily. And so, what are the things that we can prioritize, that we can actually take with us when the body falls away, when we're no longer in this particular shape, in this realm. Well, when you look to those great masters, there's this energy of compassion. And like I was defining, it's the ability to feel and empathize, recognize the suffering of another, accompanied with the desire to ease that suffering, to remove that suffering from the other. And so when you read about the teachings of these great masters, that's often the type of work that they're involved in. It's to ease the suffering of the others, of those who are suffering. And so I find that a really important place to dive into within the self, within the wisdom that exists in here. So how can we, often we're so caught up in our own suffering that we don't think about how to ease other people's suffering, which means we're not yet at that expanded place of compassion, which is fine. Everything is a journey. And I do think, though, that it's worth highlighting that this definition, because I see it used out in like the new age a lot, and people who are uh, meaning well and attempting to teach spiritual things. And they say it's important to have self-compassion. And that's actually a misuse of the word. So I would like to rephrase it and say, yes, it's important to have self-love. We need to love ourselves on the daily as much as possible, fill our own cups, love ourselves fully. The compassion, however, spills over from that towards others. It's the consideration and the empathy towards others and the drive and the will and the desire to help alleviate the suffering of the others. That's compassion. It has nothing to do with the self. So just to know, definitions matter. Does anyone else agree? By the way, thank you for popping in live. Feel free to drop a comment. Where are you right now? How are you feeling about this topic? Have you felt moments of compassion before? Do you feel it a lot? Do you feel self-love? Can you identify the difference between those two? Am I making sense? So one thing with those things in mind, when we're seeking alignment, which is health, when we're aligned with what our soul truly is, with what our heart truly is and knows, and the clarity of our free thinking mind and the health of the body, when we have alignment, that is the ultimate health goal, in my view. And so with this idea of that we have this inner guidance of our own soul and the ability to connect directly with God, with Creator, with the Almighty, with the ability to connect directly to angels or guides, benevolent beings, we can seek that answer within. What is the principle that makes the most sense if we are to evolve ourselves spiritually using this lifetime that we have here with this body? And to me, it's quite clear now. But I do encourage all of us, including myself, to keep inquiring, right? Keep asking the important questions. I have a pipa, we call it, a young coconut here. Going to keep me hydrated as I hit some of these points. So there's, when we look out in the world, we see a never-ending list of problems, it looks like. And it looks so overwhelming because I think a lot of humans are either looking at it and feeling super discouraged and super upset, or not looking at it because it's so overwhelming and there's seemingly nothing that one individual can do. When we're thinking about war, violence, gang violence, other forms of violence, slavery, exploitation, these things still exist, even in just the human realm. And they exist in the animal kingdom too. And on a soul level, so I would like to ask you right now, soul to soul, does your soul feel more in alignment with peace than violence when it's unnecessary? The different categories say if you were in a self defense situation to defend your own life, sometimes violence is necessary. Or if you're in a scarcity, starvation type of situation, and there's nothing else but, say, a little fluffy, innocent animal, violence might be necessary just to survive. But on a day to day level, soul to soul, do you resonate more with respecting other life forms and the age old teaching of thou shalt not kill? Do you resonate more with that or with perpetuating violence when it's not necessary, perpetuating exploitation of other beings, the disrespect, the abuse of other beings? I think your soul will be able to give you that answer. And so, as we seek to walk a path of integrity in who we really are, inevitably, we're going to have to face that. What are we responsible for? Because what we pay for, what we demand as consumers, and the things that we choose to do each and every day as habits has a ripple effect, creates an energy field around us, and it bounces back to us in this reflective, magnetic world that we're in. Something to think about. It's interesting that all the great teachings, all the great masters talked about respecting other life forms and showing mercy. I think about Jesus or Yeshua, known as Isa in the Far East, and how he talked about how God requires mercy and not sacrifice. So that's like this deep, deep soul level for those willing to go there. And that, to me, the way I work with my clients in holistic health coaching is we work with a map, kind of like a mandala of the 5 elements of creation in the realm that we happen to be in now. And so that first one is like the spirit, the realm of spirit or vibration, frequency. And then the next level into the earthly realm, as we're creating, co-creating, is air. Air is like the bridge between spirit and earth. It's the first thing that a baby does, that we all did when we were first born, is breathe. And then that's how those attending the birth knew if we were going to stay earthside in that portal of life and death, which is birth. So air comes in and we breathe it out. And so there's this giving on the exhale and this receiving on the inhale, giving and receiving, giving and receiving. And the capacity of our lungs and the quality of our air cannot be overemphasized in terms of how much of a powerful transformative effect these two things combined can have on our overall health. I see a lot, because I've been in health and wellness my whole life, like I said, and I see a lot in the space people obsessing about food and nutrition, which it's fine. It's got its importance for sure. And other things that are, health hacks, things you can do. There's very little emphasis, percentage-wise, about what's talked about in health and wellness, put on the daily lung capacity that we have in resting day-to-day activities, in resting mode and in day-to-day activities, is what I'm meaning to say. So yes, there's breath work and breath ceremonies. Yes, there's pranayama, which is breath work in the yoga system. And There's breath practices you can do to say calm when you're feeling nervous or anxious or dysregulated. Those are like events. What I'm speaking to, and they have power and good reasons to participate in. What I'm speaking to is actually expanding physiologically our lung capacity so that without thinking about it, without doing a specific practice, just moving about our day, we're breathing fuller and deeper all the time, even when we're sleeping. And this is connected to the container of this space, which is also where the energetic heart is, obviously. The heart chakra is in the center of the chest, the physical heart slightly left. And the container of all this is the ribs. So there's very swift and specific ways that we can learn to expand the rib space, the radial expansion of the ribs, like a balloon, in all directions. As the ribs expand, the lungs naturally follow. Lungs don't have muscles, so lungs can't expand by themselves. They need that space to exist first, and then the diaphragm pushes, exhales with muscular effort, pushes the air out, squeezes the lungs, and then the inhale comes in a mechanism of a vacuum, which is pretty cool. So you don't ever have to take a breath. You actually get to receive deeper and deeper breaths as you learn to squeeze fully, exhale generously, and expand the ribs physiologically. So that's really cool. And then nature immersions with this expanded lung capacity cannot be overestimated. There's a reason why some of us choose to live completely immersed in nature all the time. The air quality is so huge. I mean, think about it. How long can you go without air? Like, we started with spirit as the number one element. You can't go, you don't even exist without that. That is who you are. There's no ending to it. Air, how long can you go without air? Well, some like deep diver people who've trained their lungs, trained themselves as athletes, can go sometimes a few minutes without breathing, which is remarkable and quite rare within humanity. So you say you're like me and you haven't trained as a deep diver. Uh, how long can you go without breathing? It's a very short amount of time, right? So how high do you think this aspect of your being is on the scale of importance? It's right up there, super high importance. And yet in health and wellness, often the focus goes to nutrition and exercise, which are also important. This can, this ability to expand the lungs and the improvement of the actual air that we're intaking, game changer. And a lot of it can be learned for free or very accessibly. All right, moving on to fire, the next dense element, moving into embodiment. Fire is obviously connected with heat, with uh, activation, passion, and movement, and transmutation, the transmutation of energy. So, for example, if you're feeling really emotional, they've done, for example, studies about depression. A short but consistent exercise, which is heat producing, which is, I put it in the category of fire, or the element of fire. Short amounts of exercise have proven to, by many times, excel over medications for depression. That's just one example. Or if someone's angry, doing something really physical and fiery and activating some kind of workout is really, really powerful for moving that. And so it's life force also, right? Because it's connected to electricity. We are electromagnetic beings. This is of extremely high importance also in the leading edge of health and wellness right now. It's a lot of conversation about electricity. And so electricity is a form of fire, and this is activated through movement, among other things. There's other ways to charge our electricity that we can get into. And so this heat, this fire, this movement, this is essential to feeling good. How do we know if we're healthy, first of all? When people talk about when they're not feeling good, that usually means it's some kind of imbalance, right? Maybe it's a cold coming on, or a flu, or something, a headache, or whatever. That you notice the phrase is, I'm not feeling good. And when we're feeling good, like happy and energized and joyful and inspired, when we're smiling, jumping, laughing, those things are connected to health, right? If you were feeling all those things every day consistently, you'd probably consider yourself a very healthy person, right? So, uh, the need to move, the, you know, the body is always moving, whether it's still in meditation, there's the heartbeat, there's the breath, there's movement happening always. And so to amplify our movement and to learn functional, uh, powerful, sensual, pleasing ways to move is going to be another really quick way to dive into better, more amplified health. And there's a ton of research about that. You've heard it before. My favorite is dance and bowspring. Bowspring is a primal movement medicine that is famous for removing pain and for aligning and for building the most pleasing proportional shape for each person. So I love those things. Uh, and but whatever kind of movement, sparks you up, lights you up, that's going to be one of your keys to living your most optimal health. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please drop comments. Let me know how this is landing or what your contribution is to this conversation. I would love to hear what you think. Also, I'm flash, like quickly dropping a short little spring program for bettering your health in a really fast and fun way with measurable results. And I'd love to hear your names. I don't know if anyone will take me up on this watching now live or on the replay, but I would love to hear your title suggestions for like a 4-week health boosting glow up experience that is integrating all these 5 elements and the wisdom of our soul, the wisdom of the intelligence of the body, and the cognitive ability to think critically and find our own answers, and the heart wisdom that lives within that's already guiding us. So, but with measurable results, obviously. We want a perkier, rounder booty, right? Most of us? Yes? No? I'd love to hear your thoughts. The next element after fire is water. And we could talk for weeks about just this one element. The body is made up of 75% water. That's adults. Babies are more, they have a higher percentage of water, and that's only healthy adults. So one of the indicators of drop in health overall is dehydration. And I know this is like so talked about, but it is worth driving the point home that like when someone is brought into emergency, for example, in a hospital, usually the number one thing that's done is an IV drip, because it's recognized that when a body is in crisis, it's often severely dehydrated. And so we can prevent the crisis by actively and intentionally getting hydrated at the cellular level. Now, not all waters hydrate in the way that our cells are designed to absorb. And this is an entire workshop that I do separately that takes 1 hour just to give the intro about the type of waters that are the most healing and the most powerful and the most alive for our bodies to work with. But the first things that can be done is like put a filter on the shower. If you still have chlorine in your water source, that's number one, an action you can take I'm just giving you free gold here. Drop in like free stuff that you have no idea how much this can change your physical body and your well being until you actually do it. A chlorine filter on the shower. We actually absorb more of the toxin and carcinogen called chlorine when we're in the shower or the bath than we do by drinking the water with the chlorine in it. So, highly recommend you go grab a filter. It doesn't matter what brand because they're usually just carbon block filters. They're all about the same from like a hardware store, and attach it to your shower, your skin, your hair, your immune system, and so many other systems in your body, like your gut microbiome, will thank you as a result. So if you do that, tell me the results afterwards. I want to hear. I want to hear your feedback on this stuff. So that's just like kindergarten step number 1. And then there's an entire like university course available about just water that it took me years to learn, and I'm happy to share with those who are interested. Drop the word water, by the way, if that's you. If you want to learn about miracle water, some people call it. But yeah, making sure that we're staying on top of our hydration. And this can overlap into the next element with it, which is earth, because food can be hydrating or dehydrating as well. So there's a little overlap there. If you're eating high percentage of fruits on an empty stomach, you're also getting some good hydration that way. There's restructured water in the fruits, especially if it's local and fresh picked and very ripe and eaten on an empty stomach. So, but we kind of went ahead of ourselves here. With water, I just wanted to say the last thing is there's this deep peace of mind that happens internally, mentally, and just in a felt sense because we're 75% water when we're healthy. It's like, whew, the majority of what we're made up of in the physical is taken care of. And then the 25%, that's like the nutrition and the minerals and the vitamins, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's hard to describe if you haven't experienced it yet, but you just take care of that 75%. And it's easy. It doesn't take extra time once you're on this water. So that's that part. And then earth, the element that a lot of health teachers, coaches out there focus on the most, is actually kind of the last one to put into place. And it's also the element or the factor in your wheel, your little map of the 5 elements. It's the one that requires the most time and is slowest to show results. So of course, we all know you can change what you eat, and that's going to give you different results. Like what you eat obviously affects your physical experience, and it is a highly important thing, and it is part of our connection to our mother. When you think about being in the womb, right? When we were in the womb, we were getting nourishment from our mother directly. And then now that we're out of the womb, we get our nourishment from our mother, which is the earth. And back to my little pipa here. I call these the boobs of the earth mother, side note. I don't know if anyone else thinks that's funny, but there's delicious, nutritious liquid in here that's sweet and yummy. And it comes from the earth, and it's boob shaped. And so the boobs of Pachamama. I don't know. Do you feel that? Does that make sense? I don't know. My sense of humor sometimes is, I wonder if it's just for me, or will I find the other people that also, no, I know people who think I'm funny, but I'm just such a dork. All right. Earth. So the element of earth is something that we could spend our lifetime studying, and many of us do. But there are still speedy ways to access this power and the energy and the support that exists in the earth element. The quickest one, which is often the most overlooked, and it's the free option, is to take off your motherfucking shoes. and put your feet on the earth. And if you can, put your whole body on the earth, skin to skin contact with our mother, just like how newborns and babies thrive with skin to skin contact on the mother, their mother. We are the same with our earthly mother. Again, back to being electromagnetic beings. Well, the earth holds this really powerful frequency, electricity, and magnetism. And when we connect skin to skin, we're able to conduct and absorb that power, that energy from the earth and recharge ourselves, literally. Cellular voltage. And so, it's called grounding. Some of you know this already. But even just the bottoms of your feet for 20 minutes at a time, longer is better. The longer you can do every day, barefoot or skin to skin body contact with the earth, the better. It's extremely underrated medicine for reducing inflammation, for regulating the nervous system, for regulating the brain waves, for so many things. And it's available to us all for free. A lot of you all are going to hear this and you're not going to do it. If you do it on a regular basis for like at least a week, come back and tell me how you feel or how you felt while you were doing it. And did you notice the charge? Because you're plugging in to get your recharge. Did you notice the charge lasted a certain amount of time? I would love to hear. And then, of course, there's the factor of food, which exists within the earth element of the chart of our health, our personal health. And this is something that, unfortunately, for all of humanity, there's been mass programming about. And it's a very emotional topic for most people because food is connected to our two lowest chakras, which is survival and our most base emotions, such as feeling safe or not safe. And fear is also in those base chakras. And so to suggest that perhaps what is considered normal and fine and socially acceptable and traditional and all those things, to suggest that maybe we've been misled and we've all been sort of in a trance of doing things in a way that are contrary to our actual physical needs. It's a big ask, I know. A lot of people just would rather not even hear it, would rather not explore it, investigate it, and just stick to what is socially acceptable or what's, our former generations did, what our society is doing, what our friends are doing. It's just easier, and I get that. And I really do empathize. For the brave ones among us who are willing to do some investigation, it's worth looking into. It's worth looking into what is a frugivore and what traits does the human body have that parallel a frugivore. And I've done other videos about this, and I'll probably just keep repeating myself anyways because I find it very fascinating and cool to check out, and also worth exploring what our instincts are designed to do. So when you look around at the animal kingdom, I'm lucky, I live in the jungle, I see animals all the time all around me. I was just observing the monkeys from my porch, from my patio right before coming online. And you see that the animals are running on instinct, right? Their behaviors, what they're attracted to, what they're repelled by, what they find interesting and what they find scary, or what makes them salivate and what makes them feel disgusted. These are all instinctual things. Well, our body, we're classified biologically as animals, and so we have an animalistic instinct that is very much alive and very much running our behavior more than we recognize because we have these powerful minds. but not everything, we're not driving from up here all the time, contrary to what we might be thinking. We're it's the lower emotions, the not lower as in bad, but the instinctual feelings, those are what's really driving our decisions for the most part. And so if you were to really start questioning your own instincts to find out what your specific body is designed to do and to eat by nature, you would probably end up coming across some gold nuggets of truth. At least I hope you would. Follow through the line of questioning all the way through to the end to really see for yourself. So, what makes you salivate? Like when someone brings out a plate of food and and offers it to you, and it's just all kinds of colors and shapes, and it's just like very colorful and bright, and it's presented in this beautiful way, and it smells like sweet or aromatic, that makes you salivate, right? The colors, the pleasing smells. What is a pleasing smell? When we're talking about instinctual behavior or accessing our instincts, smell is one of our most primal senses. It's like connected to the root, the brainstem, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's very, very, very primal, and it runs us a lot more than we are consciously aware of. So, uh, what is pleasing to your senses? Flowers, colors, beauty, like shapes and colors. Like, for example, when you look at a ripe fruit tree, or a fruit tree that's ripening, rather, and you see these round, plump fruits, what's your favorite fruit? Fill it in your mind. Your favorite fruit, and they're ripening in the sun, and you touch one, and it just lands in your hand. Like, it's so ripe that it just sort of lands in your hand. You don't have to pull it or do anything to it too much. And it smells so good and sweet. And you bite into it, and it's juicy, it's watery, it's delicious, right? The senses, our senses are designed in a very specific way by nature because we're drawn to go to what is pleasing to our senses, and we're repelled and move away from things that are displeasing to our senses. So contrast that scene to finding a little fluffy animal in front of you on your path. Say it's a baby rabbit. Well, if you were a carnivore by design, you would actually salivate automatically without thinking about it, crouch down instinctively without thinking, crouch down and prepare to pounce and attack the baby bunny, bite it in the neck, and start eating the organs first thing. Eating some fur and some skin, sure, no problem, but like going for the organs and the intestines because there's probiotics in the intestines. That's carnivore behavior, that's instinct. And an omnivore, a lot of people say humans are omnivores. It's a fair argument. It's worth listening to all sides. Let's check it out. So if you're an omnivore, you would still have the instinct to chase small prey, injured. So if you found like an injured animal, your instinct would be to bite into it if you were hungry. Whereas most humans I know that I've met, if they see an injured baby animal, they are trying to figure out how to help it, give it a chance. Maybe it can heal from its injury. Maybe we can bring it to an animal rescue or something. Different instincts for different categories of how we're designed to eat and digest. And omnivores and carnivores both, if they find a dead body on the side of the road, dead animal body, they will go right up close to it. They know it's dead first before going close, but they will go right up close to it and smell. Get a really close up sniff to find out if it's food, if it's not too far rotted to be eaten safely. Humans, on the other hand, most humans will not want to sniff that up close and be more so repulsed by a corpse that's already been dead for who knows how long. Just something to think about. And another important point on the earth element before I go is that a lot of ancient forms of healing and medicine that span thousands and thousands of years talk about how the colon, that's the large intestine, the colon is the root of all health, and the colon is the root of all disease. So, one of the most powerful things we can do, and most people don't do it, I've done this countless times in my life and I will keep doing it again and again, is a deep colon cleanse and intestinal and cellular cleanse. But if you can cleanse out the colon specifically, everything else thrives because that's the root. And interestingly, what helps cleanse out the colon is fiber, which only comes from plant foods, and there's no fiber in animal foods, but yet our innards are designed for fiber, the internal broom. We have to sweep these soft organs out. We don't want to compact it full of um, flesh and things that don't have fiber because it'll just build up. It doesn't move as easily the way that we're designed. So those are some things I wanted to share. And I'm soon launching a little mini course for a spring glow up to power up your health and to embody your best shape in as little time as possible with the most beautiful results possible and just to feel really good. Let's prioritize feeling good from the inside out so that you're moving into your summer season, spring summer season, with all of the advantages on your side so that you can just enjoy yourself to the max. A lot of you tell me you get really busy in the summer. So you don't want to be facing all that busyness with health problems that can be avoided and taken care of now in the prep season. Okay. So stay tuned. You can book a little call with me if you want to do a consult for your own personal health goals. It's only 15 minutes, it's free. Also, you can drop the word spring in the comments or as a DM to let me know you'd like to be added to the invite list, the wait list for this little course that is dropping very soon. And I'm very excited about it. We're going to have so much fun and we are up leveling, baby. It's going to be amazing. Okay, thank you for this. So much love to you. Peace.